Hi guys, so today I am doing a recap of the Hulu reality TV show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I decided to do this as I know season 2 has finished filming and we're getting a massive 20 episodes. So I thought, why not recap season 1 so we know where we've left off. Before I get into this video, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before July, which is my birthday month. Anyways, let's get into the recap. Episode 1 is titled The First Book of Taylor, and even though we're introduced to all the girls, this episode does 100% focus on Taylor. Before getting into the recap, I'm going to tell you all the members of Mum Talk, which is the TikTok mum group that we follow this whole series. So we have Jen Affleck, Demi Engerman, Whitney Levitt, Michaela Matthews, Macy Neely, Jessie, I'm scared to mispronounce her surname, Taylor Frankie Paul, and Layla Taylor. At the start, we're introduced to Mormonism and the expectations. We get an overview of Mormon rules, aka no swearing, no tattoos, no alcohol, no premarital sex, and there's also mentioned that there's a pressure to marry young and have kids, and Taylor claims that women are just taught to be housewives. We have a sit down with Taylor, who claims she created Mum Talk, which is this group of Mormon wives that we follow in this show. Mum Talk is just Mum plus TikTok, and we then get into this massive scandal that happened with Mum Talk. We see Taylor in a TikTok live exposing the soft swinging that was happening inside of the group. This is basically they were swapping partners without having full sex because that's like a Mormon grey area or something. Demi and some of the other girls speak out saying that even though they were at the parties, they didn't know what was happening. Jessie says she wasn't involved at all, and Whitney, who is kind of Taylor's equal, as in the fact that she thinks she started Mum Talk, whereas Taylor thinks she started Mum Talk, and Whitney is also kind of vilified the whole series. But she's really upset that she was brought into this swinging scandal, and it hit her so bad that she had moved to Hawaii, and the series is set around the time that she has started to move back, so we see her move into her new house and all of that. We then get a little bit of Taylor's background. She said how she was a wild child before marriage and even admits to doing all the sinful Mormon activities such as drinking, partying, and premarital sex. Oh no. But she then later got married and had 2 kids before divorcing. She got divorced because of the swinging scandal, and divorce in the Mormon church is like a big no-no. So Taylor is sinner number 1 in God's eyes. Then we have a lunch date with Macy and Taylor, in which Taylor reveals she is dating a guy called Dakota. Now, Dakota is an ex-fentanyl addict and alcoholic, whereas Taylor is a little bit wild. So we're already kind of hinted at there being trouble in paradise, and Taylor confesses to her friend Macy that she has trust issues with Dakota due to TikTok rumors about him sleeping with other women. Taylor visits her mum, nervous about confessing something, and asks if she thinks she's a bad person. Her mum responds that Taylor just makes bad choices, while also disapproving of Taylor's boyfriend Dakota due to his past fentanyl addiction. Meanwhile, Taylor fears excommunication from the church over the Mum Talk scandal, and when she reveals she might be pregnant, her mum reacts harshly, calling her stupid and accusing her of always screwing up. As this side plot is going on, we are introduced fully to Whitney and are told Whitney's husband, Connor, is caught on Tinder. And while Macy reveals that Whitney initially dismissed the accusation as a catfishing scheme where somebody else was just using Connor's old photos on Tinder, Whitney later admits to the audience and the group of girls that he had actually been on Tinder their entire marriage, exchanging explicit messages with women. Connor blames this on his porn addiction, which is a common excuse in Mormon culture, while Whitney believes he was just confused, hinting at a little bit of some deeper marital issues. Taylor is encouraged by Whitney's honesty as she shares this with the group of girls, and Taylor steals Whitney's moment and reveals she is 4 weeks pregnant but fears she is miscarrying, which turns the girls' attention to her, and this upsets Whitney, rightly so, because she feels that Taylor is stealing the attention and making the conversation all about herself. Side note, I have heard that Connor actually wasn't on Tinder, he was actually on Grindr, but somehow for some reason the show changed the Tinder thing to Grindr. At the end of the episode, we are told that Dakota really values Mormonism, and he tells Taylor he won't be with her unless she agrees to marry in the temple. The reason Mormonism is such a big thing for him is because it helped him recover from his addiction. Taylor is quite opposed to Mormonism right now, so she disagrees, and this causes some tension. This episode ends with body cam footage of Taylor getting arrested for domestic violence against Dakota. She appears drunk and tries to blame Dakota for it, but the police hold her responsible and arrest her. On to episode 2, which this episode is called The Book of Belonging. This episode jumps between a lot of plot lines, so I'm going to summarize each plot line that we cover, the first being Taylor and Dakota. We are told that Taylor was arrested for aggravated assault and received 3 years of probation, and we can tell that she's heavily pregnant, which signifies that there is a big time jump from when they filmed episode 1 and episode 2. Taylor and Dakota decide to move in together, and we see Taylor's parents disapproving of this because there are Mormon teachings against living with a partner before marriage, and Dakota tells us and Taylor that he does want to get married to Taylor, but it's just Taylor that is kind of on the fence about it, as she did just have a divorce. But this is weird to me, as I think having a child is more binding to a person than marriage, because you can divorce your husband, but you can't really divorce you. Well, you can, but you can't get rid of your child's father. Anyways, Taylor is also throwing a baby shower, and she invites all of the Mum Talk girls, which put that one plotline to the side because that's where the episode ends, so I'll cover it at the end of this episode's recap. We then get Macy being a bit concerned about Dakota. Me too, girl. She reveals that Dakota called Taylor a derogatory name, which isn't healthy at all, and to do that to the woman that is carrying your child is gross, honestly really scummy, but also so is being an abuser, so they're both as bad as each other. Taylor then admits to Macy and knows that there is a toxic relationship dynamic between them. Another side plot which I hated throughout this episode was Whitney had received a brand deal. She was being offered $20,000 to post one picture with a vibrator, which obviously is a big no-no for Mormons. The Mum Talk group had mixed reactions, and Whitney's own mum advises against it, but remains supportive of Whitney's decision. I hated this plotline because it was obvious she was going to take the brand deal. Who was going to turn that down? No one. Whitney also insists on using the full church name, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as per church guidance, and she discusses how sexual sins are treated as seriously as murder in Mormon teachings. Which, okay, overreaction. Through this talk about vibrators, we get some information about Layla. She is 22 years old and recently got divorced and admits she has never had an orgasm. The group encourages her to explore her options, which makes the poor girl visibly uncomfortable. Throughout the whole episode, the side plot of Taylor's baby shower is going on, and Whitney makes a massive point that she's not going to go, and at the end of the episode, Taylor's baby shower happens, and everyone is like, where is Whitney? The group gossips about it, and it ends with Taylor's mum calling Whitney, which causes even more drama. Now, the reason Whitney didn't attend is because she disagrees with Taylor, as obviously Taylor isn't living according to the Mormon values. and that is where episode 2 ends. Episode 3 is called The Book of Saints and Sinners. This episode is centered a lot on Jen Affleck, and we find out that when Jen married Zach, she had married into money. Because Jen's mum is a hospital cleaning lady at the same hospital that Zach's dad is a surgeon, and she's quite uncomfy discussing this difference. Zach is following in his dad's footsteps and also wants to be a surgeon, and Jen throws him a party to celebrate him graduating from BYU. This party is at Jen and Zach's house, and her family's there, and so is Zach's, and the Mum Talk girls and their husbands. The owner of First, which is a popular Utah soda shop, attends the party, and Macy jokes that soda is the Mormon version of coffee, since Mormons avoid coffee but are obsessed with sugary drinks because obviously how else are they going to get their energy? Jesse brings alcohol to the graduation party, which alcohol is a massive no-no, and also this makes Jen upset because Zach's family is there and they are very, very traditional Mormon, so if they see that Jen's friends are like this is going to reflect a little bit badly on her. Whitney is also upset because out of all of them, Whitney is the most traditional. There is a quick interjection where we see the girls get Botox, and whilst they're getting Botox, they get given laughing gas. And Macy states that the church has no clear stance on cosmetics procedures, which is weird to me because they can't drink coffee but can pump themselves full of plastic. There is also drama surrounding Jen's baby blessing. This is a celebration where men give priesthood blessings in the Mormon church, and Jen, valuing this tradition, decides to uninvite 4 of the more religiously relaxed women in the group, which are Demi, Layla, Jessie and Taylor. And when Jessie and Demi confronted her over FaceTime, Jen claimed it was her husband Zach's fault, as he didn't want people he didn't know there, though she later admits privately that she was worried their presence would ruin the spirit of the event. Demi hosts a Galentine's party in her house, and we pan over to Macy, Michaela and Whitney getting ready together and gossiping about how Demi ages ago told them about how her and her husband carried out a sexual act with Fruity Pebbles cereal. Whitney then reveals to the girls she is going to give Demi a box full of Fruity Pebbles, and the other 2 girls think it's a bit distasteful. No shit. When they get to Demi's house, Whitney gives her the box and Demi is obsessed about it, and the other Mum Talk girls do think Whitney took it too far. Demi tells the audience that she regrets sharing that story. During the Galentine's party as well, Taylor discovers that she was uninvited from Jen's baby blessing, along with Demi, Layla and Jessie, so the 4 decide to go bowling together on a Sunday, breaking the Mormon Sabbath rule. Meanwhile, Macy's birthday is coming up and she organises a penthouse getaway. She does anticipate some drama, but she hopes it will mend the group's relationships and get back to what Mum Talk used to be. Take a shot every time I say Mum Talk. Episode 4 is titled The Book of Truth. We are halfway through the series. Yay! And I will say that after this episode, the drama kind of dies down. The episodes get a little bit more boring. This episode has a change of setting. It takes place during Macy's birthday weekend in a penthouse. One of the main things we learn is that Jen's husband Zach is insecure that Jen is the family breadwinner. This is because the man is expected to be the provider in Mormon culture. When we get to Macy's birthday weekend, we find out Jen forgets her temple garments, and this leads to a discussion on if the garments have any spiritual connection. I just think at this point they're just mentioning anything that would tie them back to Mormonism to justify the title of the show. Then they play a Q&A game, which some light-hearted questions were asked. Layla is asked which friend's husband she'd sleep with. She jokes about Demi's husband. Jen is asked which woman she'd go lesbian for, and she surprisingly chooses Taylor. And Whitney is confronted about a question whether she's jealous of Taylor's social media clout. Now, this leads to a massive discussion where Whitney believes Taylor was quickly forgiven for the swinger scandal, while she still faces backlash for a TikTok where she danced while her son was in the ICU with RSV. Which, this is a gross TikTok, and when I found out that that was Whitney, because this TikTok was very, not famous, but it was quite infamous, a while ago when it came out, when I found out that this was Whitney, all my feelings of pity turned off for her because, ew. Taylor insists Whitney has no idea how much hate she actually gets. Demi then calls out Whitney for being a clout chaser. Demi reveals that after a Cassman's therapy session, Whitney allegedly admitted she made the RSV TikTok for attention. Whitney denies this and walks away from the conversation in tears. I don't know what any of the reason there would be to make that type of TikTok, because TikToks are made to get views are attention, so I don't know why she denied this and walked away in tears. A lot of mum talk kind of accuses Whitney of talking behind people's backs and being fake, and Whitney feels ganged upon and claims that none of them were ever really her true friends. Episode 5 is called The Book of Broken Vows, and it starts off with Whitney leaving the mum talk group chat. Jessie believes Whitney left to see who would message her privately and check up on her, implying that she just wanted validation. And Macy does try to mediate the situation, but Whitney insists she no longer considers the group of girlies to be real friends. Layla has a divorce party, which is funeral themed to symbolise the death of her own life. Why do these women throw so many parties is my real question. All of the mum talk girlies attend except for Taylor and Whitney. However, Whitney actually shows up last minute with her husband Connor, and this shocks everyone. Jessie pulls her aside and asks if she removed herself from the group chat for attention, and Whitney says she just doesn't want to see the group chat. Jen and Zach host Dakota and Taylor a baby boot camp, as this is Dakota's first child, and they want to prepare him for fatherhood. We hit on the marriage point with Taylor again, and she stays adamant that she doesn't want to rush into anything. She reveals to us that Dakota was unfaithful during their talking stage, which makes her have trust issues. I don't know why you're having a baby with a man who gives you trust issues, but okay. They also have a heated argument, which leaves Taylor emotional and unsure about their future. Macy compares Dakota's treatment of Taylor to her own past abusive relationship, and Dakota insists Macy should support them as a couple, but she doesn't agree and proceeds to prioritize Taylor in leaving Dakota. The Mum Talk group go to an Axe and Smash Rage therapy session without Whitney, and they post this on socials, which Whitney sees, and she then rants to her husband Connor about being left out as if she herself didn't leave the group chat. Okay. This episode ends with more Dakota drama when Macy has a photo shoot for her prenatal supplement brand called Baby Mama. Taylor is invited to model for the brand as obviously she is pregnant, but Dakota crashes the photo shoot and turns it into a personal maternity shoot, which obviously Macy is super upset about. Episode 6 is called The First Book of Sun, and it starts off with Whitney and following everyone on Instagram, and the girls are all at Jessie's salon when they realise this. Jessie hosts a painting event to celebrate her upcoming labiaplasty, where she gets all the girls to just paint their vaginas, which I thought was a cute little side plot. Taylor believes Dakota only wants marriage because she keeps resisting, and she tells us that their constant fighting makes her hesitant about marrying him, yet somehow she had no problem having a child with him, but okay. Jessie plans a girl trip to Las Vegas to celebrate Layla's birthday. Zach and Dakota insist on joining and think it's because they just want to. Jessie plans a girls trip to Las Vegas to celebrate Layla's birthday. Zach and Dakota insist on joining, but the girls think it's just because they want to keep their women in line, because Zach and Dakota are the most controlling men out of the group of husbands that the girls have, and the girls also question why the men seem to have separation anxiety over a single girls' trip. Jen admits more tea on Zach to us, which honestly at this point I don't like Zach. Jen admits that Zach has been controlling in the past and also reveals that Zach has struggled with gambling issues before the Vegas trip. Jen sets a $2,500 gambling limit for him of her own hard-earned money. In Vegas, Jessie surprises the women with a night at Chippendales, which Jen becomes visibly uncomfortable, fearing Zach's reaction. When she calls Zach to explain, he becomes really furious, stating he doesn't want to be married to her when she acts like this, leaving Jen in tears as she begs for her husband to understand. While Taylor and the others are shocked by his extreme response, and later Jen admits in an interview that this isn't just about Chippendales, hinting that they have deeper marital issues. Episode 7, which is titled The Book of Trust, starts off with the aftermath of Chippendales. Zach and Dakota are furious that Jen and Taylor were at Chippendales. Zach sends Jen messages saying he can't keep doing this and that he's done. I don't know what he can't keep doing because this man has done absolutely fuck all the whole series. And Jen feels like Zach is treating her as if she cheated, even though she openly communicated with him. Meanwhile, the other girlies at the show have enjoyed the night, with Demi even being pulled on stage. Jen reveals that Zach told her he doesn't want to be married to her anymore and is considering taking the kids and moving in with his mum. Okay. Demi and the other girls are horrified, which understandably so. I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers were horrified as well because Zach's behaviour is manipulative and controlling. Demi reveals to the audience Zach once blew through money his parents had given him for medical school due to his gambling problem, which at this point I have solidified that I do not like Zach whatsoever. Dakota becomes upset upon learning Taylor was backstage meeting the performers, even though she didn't participate in anything inappropriate, and Macy calls out his reaction, saying men who react this way are often deeply insecure. Whitney's distance from the group becomes even more apparent as the women discuss her absence, agreeing that she would need to apologise before they would ever even consider taking her back. Meanwhile, over at Whitney's house, she tells Connor that she doesn't care about the group anymore, and in a surprising moment admits she never even considered Jen a good friend. Even Connor seems taken aback by her bluntness, and at this point I just think she is trying to cope. Macy, on the other hand, is dealing with her own dilemma. She's torn about whether to tell Taylor about a Sinner Sunday confession, which is, Sinner Sunday is where Macy throws up the little question and answer box on Instagram, and she has people submit anonymous questions, and an anonymous woman admitted to sleeping with Dakota before realising he was in a relationship with Taylor. As the episode progresses, she ultimately decides that Taylor deserves to know the truth. We then see Macy and Michaela sit Taylor down for a difficult conversation. They reveal the confession about Dakota's past, and while Taylor is clearly upset, she doesn't seem entirely shocked, saying she knew something like this was coming. Meanwhile, Jen is facing her own relationship crisis. The other women try to make her see that Zach's behaviour is not normal and that she has been conditioned to accept his controlling ways. Jen struggles with this realisation, and as the episode comes to a close, she's left questioning what a healthy marriage should look like, which obviously a lot of these girls don't really know because they get married so young, and they usually get married to their first relationship, so I don't even blame them for having such toxic marriages. Episode 8 is titled The Book of Rumours. Taylor is at home preparing for her baby's arrival when she calls her mum to talk about the Sinner Sunday confession that Macy had revealed to her. It suggests that Dakota may have cheated on her. She admits she can't believe she got herself into this situation and is now bringing a baby into such chaos. When Dakota comes over, Taylor confronts him about the rumour, and though he is visibly frustrated, he insists he never cheated and that their relationship wasn't exclusive at the time. While Taylor seems skeptical still, she doesn't push further. Meanwhile, Dakota reaches out to Macy, asking to meet and talk about the situation. They grab drinks, but instead of a calm conversation, Dakota shifts the blame onto Macy, accusing her of being the root of all of his and Taylor's arguments. Macy is taken aback, insisting she was only looking out for her best friend and passing along information she felt Taylor needed to know. However, Dakota remains defensive, making Macy feel even more uneasy about his true intentions. Over at Whitney's house, she takes her family out for dinner and surprises them with a pregnancy announcement. In a side interview, she says she's done with mum talk and wants to focus on her baby and homesteading. She also reveals she won't be finding out the baby's gender until birth, which is a decision she's excited about. Jen and Zach's ongoing struggles take centre stage as she tries to discuss delaying his medical school for a year to work on their kind of failing marriage. Zach, however, dismisses her concerns, making it clear he plans to move to New York regardless of how it affects Jen's career and their family, which makes no sense since Jen is the breadwinner, so how the hell are you going to be paying for everything? Okay. Jesse later comments that Zach embodies the stereotypical controlling Mormon husband, expecting perfection from his wife while making all the decisions himself. At Macy's baby mama launch party, tension rises as Whitney is notably absent. Macy, who considered Whitney a close friend, is hurt that she didn't show up to support her. The other women, including Demi and Taylor, decide that if Whitney doesn't arrive before the official launch countdown ends, they'll all unfollow her on social media, which they end up doing because Whitney fails to show up. As the episode nears its ending, and so does the season, Taylor goes into labour, and Dakota films parts of the hospital experience. Meanwhile, the women gather at Michaela's roller skating birthday party, where the biggest shock kind of happens. Whitney, who wasn't even invited, suddenly walks in, which makes everybody confused. She awkwardly hands Michaela a birthday gift before pulling Macy aside to apologise for missing the launch party. Macy listens, but she isn't quick to forgive, which, honestly girl, I don't blame you. Telling Whitney she is halfway out of the doghouse and still has work to do to rebuild the trust. Finally, the episode ends with two major cliffhangers. Jen texts Jessie saying she can't be part of Mum Talk anymore because Zach doesn't want her associating with them. Meanwhile, Macy, still suspicious of Dakota, is sat in her car and calls Dakota's ex, Jenna, to get answers about their past relationship. When Jenna answers and says, "I'll tell you everything," the screen goes to black, setting the stage for season 2, and hopefully that is where season 2 picks up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this recap was quick, yet you got everything you needed. It's been a while since I watched season 1, so I had to rewatch everything for this, but picked out all the juicy bits, which I do hope the drama is covered and ended in season 2. Anyways, please give me a like, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before July, my birthday month. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.